Hi everyone, it's Claire from Peachykeenpans. Good to see you again and good afternoon here where we are now. I hope you're all going well. Today I'm going to be doing an eyeshadow tag, specifically the Eyeshadow Lovers Tag by Maggie's Makeup Medley. Excellent name, just had to read it off my screen there to make sure I get it right. I really like Maggie's videos and this one seemed like a fun one, so I think I will get straight into it. This will be my first tag video, so I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, oh yeah, for today I have a jasmine tea this time. It's getting a little cold, but just gonna keep at it. I am a big fan of all teas, and anywho, I'll get into the eyeshadows. So first up we have one of my favourite palettes. Now naturally this is actually a really hard one to choose, and especially because I have done so much editing of palettes, but in the sense of scraping shadows out, repressing different shadows in. I have changed up a lot of palettes to make them more and more to my preference, so choosing a favourite out of all of those is quite difficult. Having said that, my Pan That palette from last year, from 2021, is definitely still a favourite, very dear to me. That is the White Peach palette from Too Faced. You can see I changed up a lot of, I'm not sure how glary it is, I'll just cover this up. But I changed up a lot of the shadows in here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, these are the ones that I essentially deep potted. I think I only kept, or did I keep any of those? No, I think I actually threw out all of those shades. Maybe I kept this one and then passed it on to a friend, the shades that were originally in here, and put these in. But I think it's fair to say this is one of my favourite palettes. I loved using it. Clearly I got a lot of use out of it during the panning project last year. I think especially given that it is the first palette where I changed some shades, made it more to my own liking. I guess it holds a kind of sentimental place now. There were definitely also, I guess, some fun things in terms of using a palette and focusing on a palette for that long, like for a whole year, doing a Pan That palette. I did find it really helpful to get to know the different shadows, the different formulas, the different textures, including both the ones that are pre-existing as well as the ones that I introduced. So I suppose with something like, for example, with Glistening Peach, definitely not a favourite in terms of texture. It's quite a chunky, glittery formula. I think it was one of the earliest glitter inclusive shadows that Too Faced put out, and it just kind of sucks. Like, the fallout is big time there. It's quite hard to get rid of the fallout as well because the glitter kind of will stick to your cheeks. So learning more about my preferences in that sense. Another example is Peaches and Dreams. So Peaches and Dreams I really like to use as a highlighter, and I think that is something that I wouldn't have discovered if it weren't for focusing on this palette for a whole year. It's definitely very satiny and therefore quite nice as a highlight, very natural, but good if you're kind of doing an orange look or a peachy look to tie everything together. I'll give you a bit of a close-up as well, try and get it centered. I'm not sure if I will. So that's kind of how it's looking. Hopefully that's in focus. It also smells lovely, and not gonna lie, that's a big factor for me as well. I wish there were more scented eyeshadows out there, so love this one, that's a favourite. Moving on to the next prompt, let me take a look what that is. A custom palette that you put together. Okay, so I have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, actually it's gotten really big. I've got 9 magnetic palettes. Some of them are empty right now, some of them have some shadows in them. The most serious I ever got about making a custom palette was using one of these. So this is an empty version. This is a dead stock, I believe, Makeup Geek palette. Dead stock meaning it was, yeah, once the brand was discontinued, it was the remaining stock that then other people sold it for cheap. So it essentially has 9 wells for eyeshadow and a little hole so you can poke them through to remove them at the back. I think it's very like, it's quite heavy for a magnetic palette, I guess partly because it does have that packaging between the shadows, whereas a lot of magnetic palettes don't, they have the whole thing open. But it has a good amount of weight. It feels very sturdy. So I made a palette, essentially a Hogwarts inspired palette. So I guess without giving J.K. Rowling any of my money, being able to still enjoy that IP, if you will, enjoy the story, enjoy the nostalgia. I had in mind for quite a long time to make a custom palette inspired by the Hogwarts houses, and I ended up doing that in a 9-pan format because I found this palette, where originally my idea was to do a 12-pan format, so it would be 3 shades per house. So it ended up being a bit less strict than that. Excuse me, a little short of breath at the moment. I guess it ended up being more generally inspired without being 3 exact shades from each, but you'll see. This picture is from an old calendar that I had several years ago. I essentially cut out the image from the calendar and then stuck it down with glue, sealed up the edges with black washi tape, and then my custom palette here is inspired by Hogwarts. And I guess what I enjoyed about the books, what I enjoyed about the characters, I guess really the setting. It really is about the castle, which is why that's on the front of the palette. So I did, you can also see I wrote shade names, but using black on black washi tape, because I couldn't get like a silver or a gold gel pen to work or to be fine enough to fit, because I really did want to put my own shade names on it. So for example, Felix Felicis, You're a Wizard, and what else have we got? Gillyweed, Butterbeer. I have shade names on here. They're hardly legible at all. They're pretty much not. But yeah, this is, I guess, a custom palette from a lot of different brands in here. I'm just going to go through the ones I remember. So I think this is Pretties for Your Face, Enchanted Luster Cosmetics, Glaminatrix, Prisma Palette, Colourpop, what else we got? Terra Moons, and then Too Faced, one that I depotted. So I'll show you up close. Hopefully that will go in focus. You can get a bit of a look at how those shades go together. You might be able to tell also, this one I'm holding quite carefully because this shade has actually come loose within the pan, so I need to repress it. But yeah, that's a palette that I custom made and I'm quite happy with. Yeah, brings me a lot of joy. So next tag is a favorite eyeshadow color to wear. Now I think it's probably pretty predictable here. My favorite color to wear, again, it's hard to say. In terms of a bold color, I think maybe yellows and oranges, but I think in terms of a sort of a color that can either go bold or can go neutral, I would say peach. And I have plenty of peach palettes. I'm not even sure which one to show really. I guess one that I had mixed with myself as well, as in changed out some of the shadows. This one is my Tickled Peach palette. Try not to get the glare in there, my Tickled Peach palette. But that, is one of my several peach palettes. I think on my skin tone, peach really does act as a neutral more so than say a brown would, because I am quite, I think, pinky at least, you know, or I have a lot of redness as well, so I think peach looks very natural, and then obviously can be massively amped up as well. I think that does tie in quite nicely to the next prompt, which is a brand that I'll always recommend to newbies. And I have 2 brands in mind, essentially because I do actually get asked about makeup quite a bit, because if I do wear any colourful makeup, I will be asked, like, where did you get that from? How did you learn? Or how long will it take me to learn to apply makeup, I guess, essentially. And definitely one of the brands that I recommend is Colourpop, because they are very accessible, affordable, and because there's so many things in their range that it often means that you can make it worth it to make an order. I would say being in Australia, the makeup market here is, I mean, still obviously huge, but in terms of ordering from American or UK or other international brands, shipping is often very expensive. And so Colourpop is definitely a company where I would say to someone quite confidently, you'll be able to get almost anything that you want from them. Plus the skincare, because they have skincare plus body care if they want it. It's quite a sort of comprehensive place to shop. So the only Colourpop palette that I have is the Strawberry Shade palette. I'll give her a little flip open. Relatively well loved. One of my friends actually bought the same palette as well, which is fun. And then one of my other friends has the red palette. I think they're just a squeeze or, oh, no, the red one. I don't know. Anyway, Colourpop is one of the brands I would recommend. The other one that I tell people, if you want something really special, get Glaminatrix eyeshadows. So Glaminatrix is local to me in the sense of being an indie Australian company, and I love them. I love them so much. They have incredible quality, really unique, I guess unique in the sense of, again, a couple of really unique shadows, certainly some stable, bright, punchy shadows. They were the most pigmented shadow I had ever tried, certainly in my early makeup days, and I think it's still fair to say they're the most sort of densely pigmented shimmers I think any brand out there is making. And yeah, they've become, over the years, I'm so happy for them. I think they're doing really well. That's a brand that I recommend to people. Obviously telling them, yeah, it's an indie brand, it's local, it's a company where one eyeshadow alone, whatever you choose, it'll be so worth it. And one in particular that I've had quite a few, I guess, people ask about or comment on if I've been wearing it. Certainly one that I love and is probably my favorite shadow from them is G'day. I'm not sure if I've had it in frame there, but G'day is from their You Beauty palette, and I didn't want to get the whole palette because I knew that not all the shades were for me, but I knew that this shade would just be spot on, exactly right. And to me, this shadow plays a kind of optical illusion trick on me where it looks like it's always catching golden light, or as in it always looks like the light is hitting it at sunset. So I'll try and demonstrate what I mean by that. So I'll give you maybe first up on the fingertip what that looks like. Hopefully that's going to focus, and then I'll swatch it out. But because it's got this bluish grey base and then this intense sort of golden peachy shift, I just find that something about that makes it look, as I said, like it's being captured at sunset just all the time. Now it is artificial. I have artificial lighting in here at the moment, so it may not be the best light to capture it in, but just to say, a brand that I recommend every time. Now, last prompt is an eyeshadow that you have hit pan on. There are so many to choose from. Obviously, because yeah, I got into panning very early on in my makeup journey, if you will. I essentially got into makeup in 2017, I think it's fair to say, and maybe 2016, 2017, and got into panning and the panning community in 2017, 2018. So it was pretty quick for me. I didn't go a whole stretch of time sort of consuming massively before focusing on trying to use the things that I had and using things up. So panning has always been a part of my makeup consumption and usage, and therefore I have a lot of pans. I thought I would choose this one because it is a really bright color. So this is Take Flight from Colourpop. So because it's a really bright color and because it's at least mostly a natural pan, in the sense of I was already getting a really big dip in this without trying. it was happening because I was really having fun with yellow eyeshadows. And then I thought, hell, okay, I'm going to focus on it. I'm going to hit pan in it. And so, yeah, I think I've gotten so much joy out of something so simple as a single pan of yellow eyeshadow. And yeah, I mean, that just kind of speaks to the point, the ethos of panning, in that it really does get you to use things in new ways and get joy from the things that you already own. Give some focus, some attention to them. Anywho, lovely shade. Among the many pans, it's probably one of the more satisfying ones to look at as well, because it is quite a sizable dent in there. So yeah, that's the Eyeshadow Lovers Tag. Thank you for watching, and I hope this was fun to sit through. Thanks to Maggie for putting out such excellent content and making these great tags. I'm pretty sure this one was her idea. However, if it was from anyone else, I will make sure to credit them in the description. And yeah, hope you're all going well. Thanks for sticking around, and see you soon. Bye.